sometimes it's good to have reminders of very huge creators now, like Zara Larsson, to kind of bring us back to the right pace of art, and also remember that overnight successes don't really exist. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 20s Detox. I'm Bianca, your host, where we dive into all the things that I'm learning and unlearning in my 20s to elevate this decade. Before we get further into this episode, please make sure to follow along. I post an episode every single Tuesday relating to seasonal guidance or giving advice for people in your 20s. I also have a goal of reaching 100 reviews on Spotify by the end of 2026. We're almost there. So if you have been listening and you do enjoy some of these episodes and you feel like you have a good understanding of how you feel about the show, then a review would mean so much. Zara Larsson is going to be like, if you can't tell, by the way, I'm like dressed right now and looking all cute. She's like totally inspiring this episode about debunking this whole myth of overnight success, how we can create this flow of success as we're in like these action-packed months of spring and summer that's just around the corner. Take really aligned action to honor our creative energy here, and some tips and tricks to maybe overcome feelings of not enoughness when it comes to creative works of art. Because I think it can be really, really easy to feel like you're not doing enough when you open your phone and you go on Instagram and you see thousands of creatives. And that can make you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do enough. I'm not cut out for this world. So I hope that specifically for any creatives out there, whether you are doing things in the digital world or a more tangible world, there's so many different ways that we are creative individuals. And if you align that with a little bit more of like your career, it can be really difficult to like stay centered in your creativity and not really get lost in it. It's a lot of the reasons why some people don't want to, have their passion become their career. At the end of this, I hope that if you are creative, you feel rejuvenated, you feel less alone, you are more inspired to take action, and you're not letting these self-doubt thoughts overtake your creative work. If you guys don't know about Zara Larsson, let me just give you a bit of a recap. So right now you might know of her if you haven't in the past of her album Midnight Sun. She is so fun. Literally no male gaze is even incorporated in like the things that she's sharing, and her whole vibe is very girly, very fun, and just screams like girlhood and like creativity when I was a kid, to be honest. She released another version of her album not too long ago, Girls Trip, which arguably I like more. But there's some songs from the actual original Midnight Sun album that I absolutely love. In 2026, she won Artist of the Year at the 2026 Swedish Grammy Awards and Pop of the Year for her album Midnight Sun. She was also honored with the Breakthrough Award at the 2026 Billboard Women in Music event in LA. And that really is where I felt inspired from her speech to talk about overnight success and creative success. Because a part of her speech was like, a lot of people think like, I just came out of nowhere, but I've been working on this for over 10 years. And if you've been working on your craft for almost a decade, if not over a decade, remember that so many overnight successes have been doing this for a while. For the most part, the people who last, like the sustainable, successful creatives, are those that had to go through the struggles beforehand of not having that immediate success. Like even think about Sabrina Carpenter. She really blew up after, I think, like being an opener for the Taylor Swift tour. And then that's when her career really popped off. But she's been doing this for a really long time as well. Like she was a childhood actor and singer. And sometimes I really feel like, especially if you are somebody who creates content for social media, there's so many people that are showing like strategies on how to get viral on social media, or strategies on how to make a viral podcast post, or strategies of trying to promote your paintings. And I really feel like we've lost the plot a little bit of what it means to be creative, because when you are taking a more logical approach towards your art, there's going to be a disconnect. And something that's really special about the success of Midnight Sun was this was the first album Zara Larsson had complete control over, where she co-wrote every single track on that album. Whereas all previous years in the first decade, she wasn't really writing her songs. Like, she was just singing them. And not that people don't become really successful from singing other people's music, but I do think it's special when you are able to co-create, and I mean, co-create if you are spiritual with maybe what the universe wants you to show in your art, but then also have that creative control to create something that really aligns with you. And I think it can be a little bit easier to do that with more tangible pieces of art. But when it comes to the digital pieces of art, the marketing aspects especially, that is where we all need to be careful. I've been also on social media for some time, not just for myself, but also some of my clients who I do social media management for. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the numbers and wrapped up on what makes something viral that you can lose yourself. And what you're creating online doesn't even align with the pieces of art that you want to create, doesn't even align with your personality, doesn't align with your values and morals. And then now you have created this maybe very successful persona, but then there's this disconnect and this feeling of unfulfillment when it comes to like you behind that. Like for me, it's a no-brainer as to why people's art pops off when they decide to slow down and reconnect with themselves and potentially reconnect with a higher power of whatever they believe in. They reconnect with something deeper to feel in the flow to create. And when that happens, I feel like everything else really benefits them more than trying to be this like performative persona. Potentially you're getting some viral attention, but also from a social media management perspective, some of that viral attention does not give you followers, does not convert to people wanting to purchase your art at all or appreciate it. They just see it as maybe either inspirational or entertaining, and that dazzle from them is fleeting. So afterwards, they're going to leave. But I know that if you are creative and you're listening and you're still listening right now, you know what it feels like to be connected to another person's piece of art beyond just like the first impressions of it. Maybe you guys don't know this, but like music is huge for me. There was one year I had like 90,000 minutes of listening because I have music on all the time. Crazy. Ray's album, This Music May Contain Hope, the Click Clack Symphony with Hans Zimmer is phenomenal. The first time I listened to it though, I think that it was like a very like it was creative piece of art that she just released. It isn't really mainstream type of music where it's like, oh, that's catchy. This is the pre-chorus, this chorus, the bridge and everything, and where it like builds in a way that's very predictable. Like this is definitely super unique. The first time I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. The second time I listened to it, I like started really feeling something. And then this morning when I listened to it as I was driving over here to film, I literally started crying. Like I was bawling my eyes out. And I do think that sometimes that is going to last sustainably when it evokes that emotion in others. And how are you going to evoke an emotion in others when you're only taking a logical approach on how to create it? And all of this is tying back to this overnight success of a lot of these artists have this breakthrough, no pun intended, with like Zara Larsson's award of the Breakthrough Award. But I think that they have these breakthroughs because they're able to reconnect with why they started this craft in the first place. Like why being creative is important to you in the first place. Because a lot of people online are going to skew you into these different directions that are not in alignment with you. And no disrespect to them, they do serve a purpose in helping people with basic marketing tactics, because of course you need a market. A huge part of like Zara Larsson's breakthrough is because she reinvented herself. Like she decided to be more girly and dress the way she always wanted to dress, because in Sweden, it's a bit more of these like monotones. There's not a lot of pop of color, and she's always been that type of person. And so Midnight Sun was where she was able to finally express herself. And I really feel like when you allow yourself to fully express yourself in the way that you speak, in the way that you want to dress, in the topics you want to share, in the method and alignment with what you want to share, that is going to be so much better. Like I have guided people who want to start podcasts. I'm like, don't start a podcast by looking up the strategies and what other people are doing. I want you to write down all the reasons why you love it. Because when you are embodying that person, there's something you saw in there, and you will create way better pieces of art than if you're trying to like copy somebody else's strategy. The second thing that I kind of want to talk about this overnight success is about the quiet fans. It's about the plateau phase and how we feel like it's very dull. We feel like we're not really succeeding. But if you think about it, this plateau phase happens after a growth period. And after that growth period, you are hovering around this level of success. But the reason why it doesn't feel too successful is because when our ego is really behind it all, it wants a constant incline of success. But a plateau after a growth period means that you are generating success still. And I think about her song of the album, Zara Larsson, Ambition. I've been listening to that song so much lately because I really resonate with that. Her song, Ambition, explains, like, there's a line in it where she was saying, like, I'm getting millions of people's attention with my music, yet it's not enough, because that's a part of the ambition. Like, I'm constantly wanting to do more. But a part of me kind of wishes I went back in time and appreciated all that I had already created, all that I already was doing, all the success I was currently having. But a part of this ambition is kind of being lost in that sort of acceptance of it. And I feel like that is actually a huge block as to why we can't accept future success and a future abundance. Because if you don't think that you're enough now, that is not setting a good stage for growth moving forward. I got all confused, actually, if I may be honest. I got all confused in the beginning when Zara Larsson was talking about how she is finally seeing a breakthrough, like all this work putting it into the American dream. And then who would have thought, like, starting for Tate McRae was going to have all this attention and she was going to finally be seen. And I was like, wait, I've always been listening to her. Like, I've always been obsessed with her. And I've thought that she's absolutely incredible. I thought she was incredible since the start when I saw her at 10 years old singing My Heart Will Go On. You know, like, I got really confused, and it kind of put me into this realization that there are people watching you create your art and think that you're amazing. But sometimes it always will feel like it isn't enough because you need so much attention to feel like it is successful. Maybe somebody will say, oh, that painting is incredible. And once you finish that painting and wrap it up and sell it, it's hard to remember all those amazing pieces of art that you've already created. But now that you're in a creative block, you think, oh my God, I suck at this. I'm not good at painting. This is not going to be the career for me. And we lose sense of the last like few years, 10 years of all the success we've had and all the fans that have been cheering you on. And actually, quiet fans. Like, there are a lot of people who are silent with their love for you, like love for the art that you make. I definitely realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been a silent, huge fan of Zara Larsson, but like I'm not really one to go and comment on all of her posts and like talk about her all the time. Like I didn't do that, but I was a huge fan, but I was a quiet fan. And I think about how many of those people, they were thinking about her before her album Midnight Sun. How many of those people? I think about myself. How many people are thinking about what I'm doing with the podcast or what I'm doing with the 20s Detox in general? They're fans of what I do, but they're quiet about it. Comments and external validation all the time should not equate to how we feel about our craft and feel about our art. Does nature always get like everybody honoring her and clapping her for bringing another season and bringing a new spring after a harsh winter? No, but she still comes back every single year, you know, like she still blesses us with the spring season to be able to have warmer months. For the how many billion there are of us, I doubt that there are many people honoring her on all the work she does for the season. So before we close off, this final thing that I want to share is a tip on embracing where you currently are. This is something that I'm going to start doing as well. I've decided that I told like my sister about this, being like, I really feel like I need to do this because I'll have somebody comment about, oh, that podcast episode was amazing. And then like a day or two will go by and I think maybe I'm not being successful enough. Maybe I'm not doing enough because I'm comparing to other people who are so much bigger than me. And I'm forgetting that there are people that are saying such wonderful things about it. So what I would recommend, even if you're not a creative, but I also just feel like in general, to feel optimistic about life is to write down only the good things that happened that week. Whether it's like the Sunday or the Friday after work, writing down, this person said this about my art, or this happened this week that made me feel good. I got this spark of inspiration. Writing a whole list down of all the positives and seeing it there and saving it, putting a date on that being like the week of May 10th, putting it in a box. So those moments when you're feeling down about, I'm not good enough, or maybe this is not what I meant to do, I encourage you to go and open those pieces of paper again, so that you can reconnect with all the current success that you're currently having to embrace this plateau. Because I feel like I said before, the sooner that you start to be so grateful for where you currently are with your journey, the sooner the universe is going to open you up to an elevated stage of it. Something that I do every single time when I open up my app to look at like, who checked out the podcast episode this week, I see the number and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for anybody listening to it and liking it and sharing it. Like, I'm so grateful for all of you. Even if it's like 100 of you, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I do think because so many people can be super famous now, have so much attention online, we're losing sense of the numbers here. Like, we're losing sense of what these numbers mean. I don't know. I felt really inspired to try and talk about like overnight success, the whole Zara Larsson mindset and breakthrough, and how we can also have our own breakthroughs. And a lot of it just comes down to a few things here. One of them is not forgetting the importance of being in control of your craft. It doesn't need to look like everybody else's. It doesn't need to follow in line with every marketing strategy. You don't need to listen to other people's opinions here. This is your work of art. There's a reason that you have been blessed with this certain idea. And I feel like it would be a disservice to you and whoever else out there, the creator, who guided you towards this idea. It would be a disservice to the both of you to change it in a way because you feel like it might not fit a marketing strategy, or you think that you're not taking a logical enough approach to it. That paired with gratitude is going to help you break through from a plateau. Like, you are going to get through of it. I would love to know if you guys would say that you identify yourself as a creative. However, I kind of call everybody creatives. Like, all of us are super creative in our own ways. I would love to know what your craft is. If it is something outside where you're really hands-on with something, if it is something in the kitchen, if it's painting, if it's content creation. Like, I really feel like if we all put down in the comments, like, our creative craft, we could also help each other, like encourage each other on. Like, I would love that. Oh, also, if you want to put like your handles, then I'll go check you out because I love it. I love creative people. I resonate with creative people so much. I think in general, to be creative makes you have to think outside the box. You have to think outside the rules that have been taught to us, think outside of the conformity. And that takes such bravery. And because there's going to be a lot of people that don't want that. They want the conformity. They want you to be fitting into this certain slot in society. So yeah, I love creatives. Anyway, I'm rambling. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.